everyone. I am done with my hike here in White Clay Creek State Park in Delaware, searching for the Pukwudgie. I'm a little sweaty because I got a little lost. White Clay Creek State Park, larger than I expected. A lot more trees than I expected. Really nice state park. Very peaceful here on a weekday morning when school's in session. Did we find a Pukwudgie today? We did not find a Pukwudgie today. We found some very cool birds and a groundhog and some really cool bugs and frogs and things, but we did not find a Pukwudgie. Now, what could the Pukwudgie be? There's a couple of things in the description of the Pukwudgie that are really telling. One is the bipedal gait and the height at about knee high, and the stooped posture of the Pukwudgie. And then the other is the story where the Pukwudgies carry arrows or knives and they can be poisoned. So if you combine these things, you get this really strange picture and you think, this couldn't possibly be just a normal forest animal. But all of these things combine in my head and actually give me a really clear picture of a real animal. And that is a North American porcupine. Bear with me on this. North American porcupines are very cryptic animals that live in dense forests. They're very hard to find. Even where they're really abundant, you do not see North American porcupines. They're usually nocturnal, but sometimes out during the day, so you might encounter them at all times of day and night. They are about knee-high, and they do walk bipedally on the ground. So they're usually up in the trees, but if you find them in the undergrowth or something, they're probably walking bipedally because they carry things in their little hands. So, and they have this very strange stooped gait, and they kind of shuffle bipedally. I've worked with North American porcupines at zoos, and they have this very strange gait, and this very strange chattering and moaning, and some very human-like noises that if you heard them in the undergrowth, you would almost think a little person was coming towards you. And guests at the zoo always comment about how they almost look like a little person when they're walking bipedally. And then the other thing is this story of the knives or the arrows. So if you were out and you got quilled by a porcupine in the undergrowth without seeing that porcupine very well, the quills are very, very sharp. It would feel like a knife or an arrow. And the story of the poisoned knife or arrow is really telling to me because porcupines like to roll in things and make their quills covered in bacteria. So that if you get quilled by a porcupine, you're very likely to get an infection. And, you know, before modern science, getting an infection from this sharp penetration was likely to be mistaken for I was stabbed by something that was poisoned. So I think a porcupine is a really good candidate for what the Pukwudgie might have been. And you might be thinking to yourself, there are no porcupines in Delaware. So that doesn't seem like the Pukwudgie in Delaware could have been a porcupine. But there were. There were tons of porcupines in Delaware right up until about 100 years ago when the forest really got decimated. Around the same time that Delaware got rid of coyotes, bears, they also lost all of the porcupines. So when there was more forest, back when these legends were more common, back when the Lenape were occupying this whole area, there would have been porcupines. But they wouldn't have been, you know, they wouldn't have come across them a whole lot. So I really feel that the porcupine is a really good candidate for the Pukwudgie. And there's Pukwudgie legends in the Great Lakes area, in northern New England, up in Canada, and those are all areas where you would also find the North American porcupine. So, you know, Google the North American porcupine, look at their stooping gait, those sharp quills. I think if something like that came out of the underbrush at me, I would think that a little person stabbed me with a poison knife if I got quilled. Now, that being said, when we got rid of the porcupines and the coyotes and the bears in Delaware, maybe the Pukwudgies went extinct too. Maybe it was a completely separate animal that just doesn't exist in Delaware anymore. Maybe there's still some up in Canada. You should definitely go looking for it. It's always worth having a nice hike like I had today here in White Clay Creek State Park. It's always worth looking for cryptids, looking for things like the Pukwudgie. This was my last cryptid adventure in Delaware. I'll be heading back to Florida to swamp ape territory, so stay tuned for me looking for the swamp ape. But I had a blast today looking for the Pukwudgie. I hope you enjoyed following along. And remember, it's always worth looking for cryptids. You never know what cool things you're gonna find. Hey, maybe the Pukwudgie is a North American porcupine, but you never know. Go out and look for it, because maybe you'll be the one to find the Pukwudgie. Thanks for following along in my Pukwudgie adventure today. I'll see you guys next time on Cryptozoology with Dr. Daisy. Bye, everybody.